Close your eyes and imagine the Earth 518 million years ago. We are in the Cambrian period. The continents are unrecognizable. The land is barren rock, empty of life. But the oceans? The oceans are exploding. Life has suddenly decided to get complex. It's a chaotic laboratory of evolution where nature is trying out every bizarre shape imaginable. There are creatures with 5 eyes, creatures with spikes on their backs, creatures that look like hallucinations. But among this carnival of monsters, there is one shadow that everyone fears. It glides through the water with rhythmic, alien grace. It is the world's first true superpredator, is Anomalocaris sinats. The name literally means strange shrimp. And strange doesn't even begin to cover it. It grew up to 60 centimeters, 2 feet long, in a world where most animals were the size of a fingernail. To the creatures of the Cambrian, Anomalocaris was a leviathan. It was the great white shark of its time. It had a flat, segmented body flanked by undulating flaps that allowed it to swim like a mechanical ray. On its face, 2 curled, spiky appendages grasped at the water, and underneath a square, box-like mouth lined with teeth waited to consume its victims. For decades, paleontologists told us a simple story about this creature. They told us it was a tank buster. They said Anomalocaris used those powerful arms to grab trilobites, the hard-shelled bugs of the ancient sea, and crush them like peanuts. It was the brute force of the Cambrian, a machine built to destroy armor. But recently, science has taken a closer look, and the story has changed. New fossils and advanced 3D computer modeling have revealed a shocking truth. The tank buster might not have been a brute at all. In fact, it might have been incapable of cracking a shell. Instead, we are discovering a creature far more sophisticated. A hunter that relied not on crushing power, but on high-speed precision and the most advanced visual system the world had ever seen. In this video, we are going to acquit Anomalocaris of the charge of shell crushing. We will peer through its 16,000 crystal lenses and discover the true identity of the ocean's first assassin. For over a century, the legend of Anomalocaris was built on a crime scene. Paleontologists kept finding fossils of trilobites with big, W-shaped bite marks taken out of them. Since Anomalocaris was the biggest predator around, we assumed it was the culprit. It was the only suspect in town big enough to commit the murder. We imagined it grabbing a trilobite, shoving it into that square, terrifying mouth called an oral cone, and crunching down. But in 2023, a team of researchers decided to test this theory using computational fluid dynamics and finite element analysis. Basically, they built a digital Anomalocaris and tried to make it crush a digital trilobite. The results were embarrassing for the tank buster theory. Evidence A. The mouth. The mouth of Anomalocaris is unique. It looks like a camera aperture or a pineapple slice, made of plates arranged in a circle. But the study found that these plates weren't hard like teeth. They were actually somewhat flexible. Furthermore, the mouth couldn't fully close. It couldn't create a tight seal. If Anomalocaris tried to bite down on a hard, calcified trilobite shell, its own mouth parts would likely deform or break before the shell did. It would be like trying to crush a walnut using a mouth made of gummy bears. The physics just didn't work. Evidence B. The appendages. Those 2 curled shrimp tails on the front of its face. They were spiky, yes, but they were also slender and fragile. The computer models showed that if Anomalocaris used them to grab a hard, struggling trilobite, the stress on the joints would be catastrophic. The appendages were designed for ensnaring, not crushing. If it hit a rock-hard shell with those delicate limbs, it risked shattering its own skeleton. So, if Anomalocaris couldn't crush shells, who was eating the trilobites? The blame has now shifted to another suspect, Redlichia tacunsis. This was a giant, cannibalistic trilobite. It had massive hard legs specifically designed to crush shells. The bite marks fit the legs of Redlichia perfectly. The W-shaped bites were a trilobiton to trilobite violence. So, Anomalocaris has been cleared of the charges. But this creates a new mystery. If it wasn't eating the abundant, slow-moving trilobites that littered the ocean floor, What was it eating? And why did it grow so big if it couldn't eat the most common food source? To answer that, we have to look at the one feature of Anomalocaris that was truly ahead of its time. A feature so advanced, it shouldn't belong in the Cambrian period at all. Its eyes in the world of the blind. The one-eyed man is king, but in the Cambrian Ocean, where most creatures could barely tell light from dark, Anomalocaris didn't just have one eye. It had the most powerful visual system on planet Earth in 2011. Paleontologists working in the Emu Bay Shale in Australia found something miraculous. Usually, eyes rot away immediately. They are soft tissue. But in this unique fossil bed, the eyes of Anomalocaris were preserved as mineralized films. When scientists put these fossils under a high-powered microscope, they counted and counted and kept counting. Each eye was a compound eye, similar to a fly or a dragonfly. But while a common housefly has about 3,000 lenses a matidia, Anomalocaris had 16,000 lenses in each eye. Let that sink in. 16,000 individual hexagonal pixels processing the world in real time. The only modern animal that rivals this is the dragonfly, the most efficient hunter in the insect world, with up to 28,000 lenses. But dragonflies have had hundreds of millions of years to evolve. Anomalocaris achieved this level of high-definition vision right at the start of complex life. Why do you need 16,000 lenses? You don't need them to find a trilobite sitting in the mud. A trilobite is slow. It's not going anywhere. You need higher resolution vision to track motion. These eyes were stalked. They stuck out from the sides of the head. This gave Anomalocaris a nearly 360-degree field of view. It could see above, below, and behind itself. The incredible density of the lenses meant it had exceptional visual acuity. It could likely spot the shimmer of a transparent fin or the twitch of a worm from a significant distance in the murky Cambrian water. This discovery confirms the light switch theory. This theory suggests that the Cambrian Explosion, the sudden burst of complex life, was triggered by the evolution of the eye before eyes. Predator and prey bumped into each other by accident. Evolution was slow, but once Anomalocaris opened its eyes, the rules changed forever. Now, the predator could target you. This started an evolutionary arms race, because Anomalocaris could see prey had to evolve camouflage. They had to evolve armor. They had to evolve speed. And because the prey got faster and harder to see, Anomalocaris had to get even sharper eyes and faster swimming fins. Those 16,000 lenses were the spark that ignited the fire of evolution. They turned the ocean from a peaceful garden into a visual battlefield. But again, high-performance sensors are expensive. Biology doesn't waste energy on HD cameras unless they are needed for a specific mission. If it wasn't looking for rocks to crush, what was it tracking with such expensive hardware? Let's reassemble the creature based on what we know now. We have a swimmer with undulating flaps for speed and agility, high definition, motion tracking eyes, delicate spiky front appendages, a soft suction-based mouth. This is not a bottom feeder. This is a pelagic hunter, free-swimming hunter. Instead of crunching trilobites on the sea floor, Anomalocaris was patrolling the water column. It was hunting the soft and the fast. The Cambrian Ocean was full of soft-bodied creatures that have left very few fossils. We are talking about primitive jellyfish, swimming worms, and swift, soft-shelled arthropods like Isaxes or Tazoia. Perhaps its favorite meal was Nectocarissa primitive, squid-like creature that zipped through the water. Here's the new vision of the hunt. Anomalocaris cruises silently, its side flaps rippling like a cloak. Its compound eyes scan the blue void, picking up the tiny movement of a swimming worm. It accelerates. Unlike a shark that bites with its face, Anomalocaris strikes with its arms. Those delicate, spiky appendages weren't nutcrackers. They were basket traps. It lunges forward, extending the arms. The spikes act like a cage, snapping shut around the soft prey. The prey thrashes, but the spikes hold it fast without crushing it. Then, Anomalocaris brings the catch toward its mouth. The oral cone works like a vacuum cleaner. It creates suction, pulling the soft worm into the throat. Inside the gullet, Rows of tiny serrations teeth inside the throat shred the soft meat before digestion. This lifestyle explains everything. It explains why the appendages were fragile. Speed requires lightness. Heavy armor slows you down. It explains the 16,000 lenses. You need HD vision to track a fast-moving squid thing in 3D space, not to find a rock on the ground. It explains the soft mouth. It was specialized for suction and slicing flesh, not grinding bone. Anomalocaris was not a thug. It was a sniper. It was an agile, tactical fighter that relied on seeing the enemy first and striking with precision. It occupied a niche similar to a modern mackerel, or a squid, a high-speed predator of the open water. It didn't need to eat the hard trilobites because it had access to a buffet of soft, energy-rich food that no one else could catch. The rebranding of Anomalocaris teaches us a valuable lesson about deep time. We often look at ancient monsters and assume they were primitive, clumsy brutes. We assume that because they were first, they were simple. But Anomalocaris proves that evolution hit the ground running. Right at the dawn of complex life, nature produced a creature with vision that rivals the best insects of today. And a swimming efficiency that engineers still study for underwater robots. It wasn't the clumsy shell crusher we thought it was. It was a sophisticated high-speed visual hunter. It was the first creature on Earth to look at another animal and think, I can see you, and I can catch you. Eventually, Anomalocaris and its family, the radiodonts, went extinct. They were replaced by the cephalopods, ancestors of squid, and eventually, the fish, our ancestors. But they set the standard. Every predator that followed, from the ichthyosaurs to the orcuses, playing the game that Anomalocaris invented, the game of sight, the game of speed, the game of the hunt. So the next time you see a shrimp cocktail, show a little respect. You are looking at the distant, tiny cousin of the first king of the ocean. What do you think is more terrifying? A blind monster that crushes everything? Or an intelligent assassin that can see you from miles away? Let me know in the comments below if you enjoyed this deep dive into the true nature of the Cambrian nightmare. Please hit like with all 16,000 of your lenses, and subscribe to BeyondTheApex. Stay curious, stay sharp, and I'll see you in the next epoch.